Hello, everybody. How are you doing today? My name is Tony Rizano, and this is episode 332. I know we said that yesterday, but today is really episode 332 of the world famous, the University Love, the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies. But, ladies and gentlemen, you and we just call this show Online Marketing Moves, and we are coming to you live today. Today is July the 13th, 2021. Ladies and gentlemen, how is your online strategy going for you today? Are you getting yourself out there? Are you setting yourself up to be in a position of authority? Now, ladies and gentlemen, are you setting yourself up to make all the monies? Even though it's not all about the monies, but it's nice to have. You know what I mean? It's nice to be able to, you know, buy yourself a couple things. Nothing wrong with that. But you should be setting yourself up all the time. You should always be, And one thing I want to tell you. This is from me to you. One thing that you never feel like you're not doing enough. Some days you can only do so much. Some days, you carve out time. Of course. Now, sometimes you might want to do 9 things. You might do 7 things. Don't beat yourself up. You did 7 things. You did 7 more than what most people are going to do. All right. So don't beat yourself up. Don't feel bad. Just make sure you're doing something on a daily basis. Make sure you're thinking about your business on a daily basis. Make sure you are in the motion, positive motion, positive traction to get the job done when it comes to all this online stuff. Online, offline, whichever one you want to do, All right. Make sure you are staying on top of things. Now, today we are going to talk about getting some clarity. We are going to talk about pivoting. Now, let's say you are doing a YouTube channel. You are doing a YouTube channel. Your YouTube channel's humming along and you like it, but you want to pivot, and you think, when's the right time to pivot? When's the right time to go down another path? Give yourself, I say, 90 days. If you want to talk about, let's say you want to do a YouTube channel about movies. Okay, let's just say you want to do a YouTube channel about movies, and you're dedicated to doing, let's say, horror movies. And you feel like maybe I need to expand and do more movies. Give yourself 3 to 6 months. Doing the horror movies. Because sometimes it takes a while. Sometimes it takes a while to gain the traction. Never do something in one day and then pivot to something else. Now, if you don't, all right, I'll give you an example. Let's say, okay, I'll use me for an example. I was doing this podcast and I said I'm gonna branch out and I'm gonna do more podcasts, and I was gonna do a sports podcast and I recorded the episode, and then I said, nah. I said, you know what? I need to focus. I need to continue to drive home this Online Marketing Moves podcast. I need to build that up before I even, because it would be a lot easier. It's always a lot easier. Let's say you build up an audience, you build up a crew, you build up a following on your one YouTube channel. Then you're like, all right, I'm gonna do another YouTube channel, and you tell people, hey, my 50,000 listeners, I have another YouTube channel. You'll get at least 5 to 10% of the people. Boom, they'll go right there. And you're starting off heavy, Or why start from the bottom twice when you don't have to? You know what I mean? So that was my thought about the sports podcast. So I was like, I'll wait, I'll build this up, and then we'll pivot to other kind of podcasts, other kind of shows like that. But that's different. But if you're just like this podcast is about content creation, this, that, and the other, email marketing, online stuff, and I'm like, it's been a year, and I'm like, all right. And then I was driving yesterday. I'm like, should we pivot? Should we do something else? Should we do something new? Should we shut it down and start over? Or, start like, a new podcast? I'm thinking what which direction should you go now? Because it's been a year, so you have to evaluate it, and that's what you need to do. If it's been 3 months, 6 months, evaluate the situation. Evaluate, hey, what's working for me, what's comfortable for me. Am I, doing it every day? Am I doing it every week? Which direction you want to head. Always be thinking, about this stuff. Always be ready to, now sometimes it might be going smooth sailing. You're like, hey, I'm not changing anything. There's always some little tweaks and something, but you don't want to change anything drastically. Like this show, I like this show. I enjoy this show. The only thing I think I'm going to do more on this show is I'm going to focus more on storytelling, more focus on, getting guests and talking to people about storytelling and branding and how to stand out amongst, the crowd. Cause it's very crowded, but it's crowded, but it's not crowded. You know what I mean? Like you can always stand out, if you know how to tell a good story, if you know how to, engage with the audience, personality driven, you can still be successful. Content creation is great and everything like that, but there's so many people saying the same thing that sometimes you might want to say something different. You know what I mean? So, value, value, value. People used to say that all the time, but now, you want to be more of a, storyteller, personality driven, show your personality, show the people who you are, because at the end of the day, everybody, if they like you, they'll buy from you. If they don't like you, they probably won't buy from you. It could be two different people selling iPhones, and if you like Joe Blow and you don't like the other Joe Blow, then Joe Blow number 2, he's not gonna get the sale. Joe Blow number 1 is gonna get the sale. Why? They have the same product, but you like Joe Blow number 1, so that's what you're gonna go with. And it's just how it is. So I always be thinking about, these kind of situations. I always be thinking, when to pivot, when to stay. It's not hard, but you just want to make sure that you are the most important thing actually when it comes to this whole online. So when it comes to business in general, is all you be thinking about your business a lot. Don't don't do it for 5 minutes and then like, all right, I've done enough thinking about this business. No, it's a constant. It's a constant thing. It's a constant thought. I was driving yesterday to work and listening to enjoying the music, and I'm like, I got it. I know which direction we want to head with the podcast. I know how we're going to start and, getting more people on the email. I was going to set it up yesterday for the email, but I got to call Get Response because I was having trouble, setting up my little email thing for me myself. But I had some clarity and I had some thoughts about the business and how I want to grow it, how I want to make it grow, how I want to make it successful. And you should be thinking the same thing. You should be on the same wavelength. It's work. It's mental work. It's writing stuff down. These things are not hard, but the most important thing is they build up, they add up. Like I said, sometimes some people have more time than others. You might not have the most time in the world, but it's what you do with the time that's important. All right. And so, ladies and gentlemen, the thing that I want for you more than anything is if you're happy with the way the thing's going, great, but that's the most important thing. I just want you to be happy. At the end of the day, if you're happy with yourself, you look in the mirror and you say, hey guy, I'm happy. Hey young lady, I'm happy. That's important. You're at peace in your life. That's important. If you're because you think about it sometimes. I know some of us. You get to doing stuff. You're like, I want to make all the monies in the world. But it's like, is that the most important thing? I want to be comfortable. Don't get me wrong. I'm content. I'll be content with making how much. Of course, over me myself. Anything that I'm making, as long as I can supplant my income, double my income from the job that I have, and do that and be home all the time, I'm happy with that. I mean, I'm gonna work twice as hard when I'm at home on a full-time basis because you know, the harder you work when you're at home, the less likely you have to go back to trying to find a job or whatever. Once you get this business going and really get the machine going, it's no turning back. So that's where I'm at, and that's where I hope you at. If you want to make $1 billion, great. But I guess, and one thing is, I don't know. Don't focus on the money. I used to focus on the money. I'll give you. I'll tell you that. I'll be upfront. I used to think, oh man, if I can make these $10,000, But it's like I'm not. You wasn't. You know. I'm like, eh. It was like when I first heard about the MLM. When I was 20, 22, 23. And they're like, hey man, we got this MLM, you can make, This guy was like, I'm making $5,000 a week. But this guy, he was passionate about it, he enjoyed it. He liked it, he was, I ain't gonna say he was drinking the Kool-Aid or nothing like that, but I mean he was into it, this guy, I remember his name was Greg. Greg had glasses and he was very excitable. Him and his wife had bought in, and he was driving this little Jeep, and he was like, hey man, I'm making 25. I think he was making 25 or $5,000 a month. And this guy would go to the mall and just meet people at the mall and speak to them and try to get them into the business. And I'm like, man, Greg is dedicated. Like, God bless Greg, you know what I mean? But me, I just wasn't into it, But Greg wasn't. Of course, he was doing it for money, but he had a love for it. He had a passion for it. That was more. That's the thing I took away from it. I was like, I got nothing but respect for this guy. Like, MLMs, they are what they are. You can look at them however you want to, but the one thing about them, I will say this. I will give you this. They do sort of get your wheels spinning, because you're like, what if, there's a possibility, So I can't knock what's it, Amway, yeah. I can't knock them. I can't knock them folks too much, they give you some, they give you little positivity tapes, and they give you a couple of good books to sort of check out, and read, and it helps you get to spin your wheels in motion. But the guy, he was just enthused, and that's what I took away from it. And the money's gonna come, and as long as you enjoy what you're doing. I'm not saying you have to be in love with what you're doing, like I told you before. I drove trucks for 15, 16 years. I grew to love it. I grew to like it. I got a fond respect for the job I've done for the last 15 years, for the career I've been in for the last 15 years. At first I'm like, I'm just here because I need a job, but like I told my wife the other day, I'm like, I was like, it was, at times it was exciting to go see different, it was very exciting to go see like the mountains in Utah and things of that nature, like I got a respect for it, but at first I just need the job. I didn't even think about money, and a lot of times, you know money's there, money's around, once you start, you'll attract yourself to money, just put yourself in the right position, and you know put in the work, put in the time, and put in the effort here, doing the videos, doing the, creating the content, doing the affiliate marketing or the copywriting or the emails or whatever you do, whatever you do, online, offline, doesn't matter, you put in the time, you stick with it, that's the most important thing. You stick with it, you keep going at it, and eventually, you'll start seeing money start flowing in, and you'll be like, wow, whoa, 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 whoa. You know what I mean? So, you know, I mean, I still get excited today. Some days, I see people downloading podcasts from 9 months ago, and I'm like, cool. That's cool. That gets me going, and I'm like, all right, all right. People download the podcast, still, and I'm gonna tell you something else, ladies and gentlemen, before we go, if you are, I'll tell you like this. If you have one person to download your podcast. Let's say you've done a podcast for 30 days or you've done a YouTube channel for 30 days and you have 3 downloads, then you are a success. Okay. Don't It doesn't matter how long you've been doing it. Don't look at numbers. Don't focus on that. Do not focus on that. If you keep going and you work on yourself, you work on your hosting ability, you working on you talking to the camera, you work on the editing of the videos, you work on your blog posts, you work on whatever, you just keep improving and you keep putting yourself out there, you you'll you'll gain an audience. You'll get an audience. You might have to find them or they might find you. One of the two. But the most important thing is you'll find it. I remember when I first started writing on Medium, and I wrote and I started writing, and I told my wife, I said, "Can I call myself a writer?" And I'm like, I did get paid this month, and then I said, you know what? I am a writer. You know why? I said, I'm a paid writer at that because I got paid. Doesn't matter how much. It was pennies on the dollar. Don't get me wrong, but hey, people read the article. People enjoyed the article. Got a couple messages. A couple pats on the back. Thank you, thank you. So it's not where you start, how you finish, how you keep going. So don't think, oh, I'm not this, I'm not that. Yes, you are. If you say, hey, I'm a copywriter, then hey, you are a copywriter. And go out and be the best. Go out, figure it out, hone your skills, hone your craft. Figure out what you need to do, figure out who you should listen to, who do you want to learn from, and take it from there. All right. But ladies and gentlemen, that's it. That's it for the podcast. We'll be back tomorrow with the all new episode of Online Marketing Moves. We're approaching the July the 15th. I'm very excited. I'm gonna try to. Well, we're not gonna do anything too special, but we'll do a little something. And I'm excited. And ladies and gentlemen, if you haven't already, tell a friend to tell a friend, tell a friend about the best podcast in 1, 2, 3 galaxies is Online Marketing Moves. And we will be back tomorrow with the all new episode. But until then, my name is Tony Rizzano. Thank you for listening. And as always, everybody, peace.